Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Gene Edwards. You are watching NHL Aftermath with my good buddy, Sam Jackson. How are you doing, Mr. Sammy? How has your week been?
Well, the week has been crazy. I spent most of it up in Calgary. Went to Blink-182 concert last night. Been a good time.
Oh, nice. Blink-182. So do they still have it there, Sammy, or what?
It was pretty great. I mean, I've grown up listening to them. They've been one of my favorite bands since I was in grade 8. So it was a lot of fun to go get to see them live, especially now that they are back together with their original trio. So.
Oh, that's awesome. For me, yes, it was an outstanding week for me in so many ways. I finally learned how to hook up my microphone properly to this board.
There you go.
So a big shout out to the guys at Wentworth Music here in Kelowna. And especially PJ Harmon, who taught me that my board has a line in the back and a XLR. So it has what's called a combo plug. I never knew that it had two portions of plugging in. So if you plug in the XLR, that's where my Rodecaster actually can recognize the Rode mics and actually adjust the volume and all the levels as proper. So I have, this is a Rode mic, this headset. This is now working. I also have the other microphone, just the regular microphone. So I'm going to try and see which one gives me the best sound over the next couple episodes here. But yeah, that happened. And we finally closed out the deal on my mom's house.
Nice.
That's all done. However, she gave me a bit of grief about half an hour ago because there's one remote missing. I have to go looking for that. But other than that, yeah, everything's pretty good. And I'm thrilled and pumped. It's been a long go getting her into assisted living. That was the first step, and just a lot of stuff that's involved with it. One day you'll probably have to deal with it with your parents, and you'll know what it's like. It's quite taxing. Okay, Sam, speaking of taxing, this has been a long week with this channel and all the news that has been coming out. And last week, before we ended that episode, because I produce and I have to do the toggling of titles and all that kind of stuff, I didn't quite hear what you said towards that end. And you did want to mention a couple trades. We are going to mention those trades today, even though they were last Saturday. As we recap the week that was, big trades and a massive engagement as Connor McDavid is now engaged to his longtime girlfriend, Lauren Kyle. A big shout out to my boy Connor. Happy to see him happy and all sorts. And you gave me some news today regarding Cale Makar I was unaware of. So go ahead, fire away there, Sammy.
Yeah, Cale Makar also got engaged to his girlfriend this week as well, now fiance. I don't know what her name is, but I know when you mentioned Connor McDavid getting engaged, I saw that Cale Makar got engaged as well. So as well, congratulations to Cale Makar and to his fiance.
Yes, and to Connor McDavid as well.
Mm-hmm.
So other than that, there was a lot of trades that happened, and I actually wrote down the list. So we're going to start off with the two that we missed from last week, Sammy. It started off with the Arizona Coyotes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out all these trades, and then I'm going to ask for your opinion on which one you thought stood out, who was the winner, whatever we'll ask. So we're going to start off with the Arizona Coyotes signing Sean Durzi from the LA Kings, or not signing, sorry, trading for Sean Durzi, the LA Kings, for a second-round pick in the 2024 NHL Draft. What are your thoughts on that one there, Sammy?
I mean, LA, I think, was just trying to clean up a little bit of cap space. You know, Arizona, it's a good depth pick or a good depth player for Arizona. LA got the pick back. I don't really know if there's a winner or loser in that. I'd say probably Arizona because at least they get an NHL caliber player back, whereas the pick that the Canes got, who knows, that'll be NHL caliber in the future. Could be, could not be. So I'd say Arizona probably won just based on the fact that they get an NHL player. But
Yeah.
you know,
I from watching that series with Edmonton, Shane, like Jersey's just one of those guys that just gets in your face a lot. So I think Arizona definitely got themselves a good player in that regard.
yeah.
Shortly after that, Ryan Johansson gets traded to the Colorado Avalanche from Nashville in exchange to the signing rights of Alex Galchenyuk. Uh,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that's a good pickup for Colorado. I mean, Gabriel Landeskog is most likely on LTIR again for next season. So them picking
Oh,
Ryan
really? You think
Johansson
he's
up.
not healed up yet?
No, I'm pretty sure he's already been confirmed to be out for all of next season. So
Oh,
them
wow.
picking up Johansson, that's good for them because then there's their guy, their replacement.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'd say Colorado far and above wins that trade, considering as well Nashville didn't re-sign Galchenyuk to my knowledge. So
Yeah, that's I didn't realize that Landeskog is still going to be on the IR.
yep,
Wow.
yep.
Okay, then we get into a couple days later. This happened on Monday, where Taylor Hall and Nick Foligno got shipped out from Boston in exchange for defensemen Alex Rugula and Ian Mitchell from the Blackhawks. Your thoughts on this?
I mean, Taylor Hall going to Chicago. I think that's again with both of them, Boston trying to clean up the cap space. Not that Nick Foligno's cap space mattered because he was a free agent anyway. But I think that's a good trade for Chicago. They're trying to build a competitive team, especially now they got Connor Bedard. I mean, they've been so bad for a couple of years now, especially this past season. They're trying to do something so that they don't necessarily waste Bedard's development. Not that I think Bedard's development would be wasted, even if Blackhawks were historically bad, I think he'd still put up 100 points. But I think him now having Taylor Hall on probably his wing, that veteran presence to help kind of coach him along, former first overall pick, I think will be great for Bedard. Foligno, that's a depth guy that at least provides some toughness and some grit within their bottom six. So I think it's a good trade overall. I think Chicago would win that trade.
Yeah. The one thing that comes out of this though is I think this is the seventh or eighth first round pick that Taylor Hall has played with since his career started. So this
First
goes
overall
back
pick,
to
yeah.
it goes back to Ryan Nugent Hopkins, Nail Yakupov when he was with the Oilers, Connor McDavid when he was with the Oilers. Then he goes to New Jersey where he plays with Heishiser, I think it was.
Ishe.
Uh, and then who was it? And then there was a bit of a lapse. But yeah, now he's playing with Bedard. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's the guys over on SDPN were mentioning it's like something like 7 or 8 times that he's
I
gone.
think this is the fifth. I think it's the fifth.
Yeah, no, it's more than 5. I guarantee that. I just wish I could run. It's like 7 or 8. Because let's see. Okay, so he went to Phoenix, went to Buffalo where he played with the defenseman.
With Rasmus Dahlin.
Yeah, that was another one. It's more than that. I don't know exactly. Anyway, moving on. Uh, then we go into, and these are all trades that happen on the 27th as well, where Kevin Hayes gets acquired from the St. Louis Blues in exchange for Philadelphia's. No, okay, St. Louis acquired Kevin Hayes from Philadelphia in exchange for the 6th round pick in the 2024 entry draft. Again, this sounds like another cash dump, and considering that in the last 5 years the cap has only moved up $2 million, a lot of GMs are really shopping very differently, and we're going to get into the free agency, but yeah, there's a lot of cash dumping this year. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I guess cash dump by Philadelphia. St. Louis, I mean, that's just a good, probably top 6 or middle 6 player for them. I mean, with Philadelphia retaining half his salary, I don't think you can really go wrong with that trade by picking up Kevin Hayes. He's still got enough gas in the tank. I think he could still put a decent amount of points
So
when given the opportunity. But
did Philadelphia take half salary? Because I don't have that written down here.
I don't know if it was half salary, but I believe they retained salary.
Okay, because I don't have that written down here. Okay, we go on to the Los Angeles Kings acquire Pierre-Luc Dubois from the Winnipeg Jets in exchange for forwards Gabriel Vildari, Rasmus Kupari, Alex Iafallo, and a second-round pick in the 24 NHL Draft. Boy, I don't know if I like this one when the Oilers have been lining up against the LA Kings in the first-round matchups in the last few years. This could make things a little interesting for the Oilers in next season. Your thoughts, Sammy?
Yeah, so I stand corrected. So Philadelphia didn't retain any salary on Kevin Hayes. I thought they did. Nashville retained 50% of Ryan Johansson's salary, though, in that Colorado trade. Anyway, the thoughts on Pierre-Luc Dubois. I don't know. I think Dubois is overrated. Like, I like him. I think he's a good player, but I think he's overrated. I think Winnipeg wins this trade, in my opinion, far and above. And then LA signed him to what was it, an 8-year extension with $8.5 million a year or something like that. I don't know. I think Winnipeg wins this. They get 3 good players back. Not superstars by any means, but they get 3 good depth guys that can pot some points, that can play on your roster.
Iafallo, right? They get a vet in Iafallo, and they get
they get Iafallo. They get a good young guy still early on in his career, and Gabriel Villard. I think Rasmus Kupari is pretty, young in his NHL days as well.
I don't know what he brings to the table, but I do know what Velarde and Iafallo bring to the table. And LA did pay a heavy price for it for sure.
Yeah.
And we'll see if Dubois. I'd like to see if Dubois tries to get his way out of this city now, because that would be really, really something else.
I don't see that happening, but who knows?
It's Hollywood, man. He better not get out of Hollywood. That's a bad look for Hollywood if that's the case.
Yeah.
And more so a bad look on his part, because it'd be like the 3rd time too. So,
for sure.
Okay, we move on to. This is a guy that I would like to have seen as an Edmonton Oiler, believe it or not. Tyler Toffoli moves on to the New Jersey Devils in exchange for Igor. Now I'm going to butcher this name. Sharangovich.
Pretty close. Igor Sharangovich. Yeah.
And a 3rd-round pick for the 2023 pick. I like what Devils did here, man. Considering the season they had last year, I really like what they did here.
I know. I'm very excited, honestly, to see what the Devils can do now, and going forward here. Tyler Toffoli added to that team. Honestly, the Devils look scary for next year, to be completely honest. They look scary. They're going to be a tough team to play against. They already were this last year, but they're going to be even tougher to play against now. Tyler Toffoli, is he going to have another career year like he did this year? Who knows? I think he's 30, so I think his window for putting up crazy points is closing. But I don't know. You put him on the line with Nico Hischier or with Jack Hughes, he could put up a point per game this year easily.
Oh yeah, I don't know, and the thing is about Toffoli, every time in the last, since I remember he got traded to Montreal and then to Calgary, but it seems like he makes an impact right when he comes to a new team, right off the hop.
Absolutely. I remember his brief time in Vancouver was very impactful.
Yeah. So that's, like I said, I like that piece. And considering what the Devils did to my Oilers last year, that's enough said about that.
Yeah.
Then we move on to, this was shocking, one of the original 5, the remaining original 5. So now it's only 4 original guys on the Vegas Golden Knights as Riley Smith gets moved to the Pittsburgh Penguins in exchange for a 3rd-round pick in the 2024 NHL Draft. And I believe that was it. It was just a pick.
Yep.
That's another cash dump scenario there. And unfortunately, It's Riley Smith, newly Stanley Cup champion Riley Smith.
Yep.
That's got to kind of suck. You just won the Stanley Cup, and now they're just saying, hey, we're going to give you away on a team that he's been there since the inauguration of that team or whatever, since the beginning of that team.
Yep.
So that's got to be a bit of a hard pill to swallow. I think Pittsburgh is definitely, I think Dubas is making some good changes for Pittsburgh as well.
I agree.
And we'll see what happens there. And I think, we got one more there. Sammy, I can't believe I almost forgot this one because this is my hometown team. The Edmonton Oilers get rid of Kailer Yamamoto and Klim Kostin in exchange for future considerations. 100% cash dump. It turns out Detroit has already waived Kailer Yamamoto for the purpose of a buyout.
Yep.
The main piece here that Steve Yzerman wanted was Klim Kostin at $2 million, and he got him. And that sucks for me as an Oiler fan. I was almost tempted to get a Kostin jersey made up. I was that impressed with with what he was bringing to the team. One thing with my Oilers, and I'm going to get into it maybe tomorrow when I do the episode of Lubed, but they've gotten a little bit softer. They lost a lot of size. They lost Nick Bukestad as he went back to Arizona in free agency today. They lost Klim Kostin. So now they're going to be relying on Darnell Nurse and Evander Kane to be the enforcers of that team. And I'm a little disappointed. Your thoughts?
100% just a cap dump by Edmonton. What do they do with that cap space? I don't know, because they haven't really done anything today that I've seen, or at least nothing of
they got Connor Brown. They got Connor Brown.
Yeah, I mean, sure, that's a good enough piece, but they can do more.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, obviously it was just a cap dump. That's all it was.
Yeah, more than likely it was exactly what you said, a cap dump.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very interesting, Sammy. Very interesting. Who would you say was the winners and losers from this particular week of trades that happened? Out of those trades that I mentioned, now there was more trades. We can't obviously mention them all. These were the more significant ones. So out of those ones, which one do you like the best?
I like New Jersey. I mean, honestly, just picking up Tyler Toffoli, I think that's an incredible pickup. I like them picking him up. Other than that, I like what Winnipeg got in return for LA. Other than that, there really wasn't anything big. There really wasn't any crazy and major splashes. I mean, Chicago. I think Chicago got a good piece back in Taylor Hall and Nick Foligno. They also picked up Corey Perry.
Yeah.
So again, there's a gritty bottom six that they can have with Foligno and Perry. They can have those two guys that can step up in the lineup if they really have to. Ideally, you don't want them to, but they can. But that's a good couple of veteran guys that can squeeze out some competition.
Yeah.
Can push some guys around. They can they'll be a good veteran presence more than anything for the younger guys that are on that team, for Connor Bedard.
Exactly.
So I think Chicago might be the winner for the trades of this week. I do like New Jersey picking up Toffoli, but Chicago probably overall I think would be better off than they were before.
I'm 100% in agreement with you. 100%. Yeah, I think the big winner was Chicago because they surrounded Connor Bedard with some veteran presence. And then Taylor Hall going to be his left wing more than likely. That should be something interesting, considering who they gave up in the last little while, from Kane to DeBrincat to all those guys. Jonathan Toews is still kind of in limbo, and there was talks that he may sign with the Oilers for $1 million a year, but I haven't seen anything that. But who knows? Who knows? Sammy, let's dive into the NHL Awards that happened earlier this week.
Okay.
there was something that happened that was quite interesting. I think everyone out there knows what we're going to talk about. Now I'm going to have to kind of scroll back and forth from a different website here because my eyesight isn't that good and I can't read the names on the graphic. So we are going to start. I believe that's the Masterton Trophy. Yeah, I believe that's the Masterton. Okay, so we're going to start off with the Masterton Trophy, and Jim Montgomery wins it for the Boston Bruins on an incredible year. And by the way, that is the Coach of the Year trophy. No, that's the Jack Adams.
Jack Adams. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so I'm just going to go through the Jack Adams, obviously. Jim Montgomery wins with a total of 404 points. Next best was Lindy Ruff with 127 points. Montgomery had 79 first-place votes, 3 second-place votes, and 0 third-place votes. Lindy Ruff had 1 first-place vote, 35 second-place, and 17 third-place votes. But we cannot excuse the fact that Jim Montgomery took the Boston Bruins to a record-setting season, despite being eliminated in the first round by the Florida Panthers. I totally agree with this. I think this was definitely the right one, the right decision for the guys who make the votes. I have no problem with this one. You?
100%. I agree.
Okay, so then we'll move on to what is this one? Oh, I wish my eyesight was better. Okay, that's the Jim Montgomery one right now that's posted on there. So we did that one. I may toggle back to the next graphic, but we'll go on to the next one here. This is our hiccup for the day, I guess, Sammy. This is I think, Selkie. This is the Selkie. Okay, I can see that one. I need a bigger laptop or better eyesight.
It's glasses.
Yeah, I have contacts in.
No.
Okay, so Selkie, there's Lady Bing. Where's Calder? Hang on a second, James Norris. Okay, do you know who won the Selkie? Because I think
Selkie was Patrice Bergeron.
Okay, Patrice Bergeron. That was his 3rd time winning it.
It's for 3rd time. This is 6th time.
Oh, was it his 6th?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was his 3rd time winning it. There it is.
Oh, 6th. Yeah.
Okay, so he had 187 first-place votes next to Nico Hischizer with 3 first-place votes. So he just dominated, winning that one by 1,914 points to 804 for Nico Hischizer. And then Mitch Marner was 2nd or 3rd. Jordan Stahl 4th. Anze Kopitar was 5th in that voting. Yeah, that 6 times. I thought it was only 3.
Yep.
Yeah, I must have miscalculated that one. Then we move on to now I recognize the trophies. Norris Trophy. No brainer that Erik Karlsson was going to win this one, hands down.
Yeah.
He had stupid numbers this year with a very crappy team, I might add.
Yeah.
So let me just pull up that.
First defenseman, I believe, since Brian Leach in 1992 to put up over 100 points.
Yeah, it's just, honestly, it is literally silly. I'm just trying to find where there it is, Erik Karlsson, James Norris. So it was kind of close, though. I mean, reasonably, closer than most of the other ones, as Adam Fox was only 400 points away from it. So Erik Karlsson wins this one with 123 first-place votes. Adam Fox in 2nd with 41 first-place votes. The point total was 1585 for Karlsson. Adam Fox with 1125. Cale Makar was in 3rd. Hampus Lindholm in 4th. and Josh Morrissey of the Jets was in fifth on that one. Yeah, I think it should have been a further spread considering the year that Carlson had, like an unreal year on a crappy team, and I think he should have won that more clear cut. That's just my thought on that one.
I don't disagree.
Oh,
I don't disagree.
I thought you were going to disagree there with me for a second.
No, I don't. I don't disagree. I honestly thought it was going to be way more unanimous than it was, to be honest.
Yeah, and considering like if they were a better team, different story. But he was the one-man show in San Jose this year. There was no one that was able to do anything.
Yep.
And now we go into the Vezina Trophy, where Linus Ullmark wins this one. Let me just pull up those stats. Again, I have to toggle to the internet to look at this because my eyesight, but I'll find it here. Where is the Vezina? There's Bill Masterton. King Classy.
I mean, again, though, with Linus Ullmark, it's not a surprise at all that he won the Vezina this year, considering, again, the numbers that he put up were just stupid. He put up insane numbers. He had an insane record overall. One of the best seasons by a goalie in NHL history. Like, just if he somehow didn't win the Vezina, it would have been it would have been a joke.
So, who do you think came in second in the voting on this one?
I believe who were the top three? It was Ullmark, Hellebuck, and Sorokin. Was that the top three?
That is the top three. Now, who came in
second? Sorokin was second.
Yeah, okay. I thought I could trick you on that one, but yeah, you're right. 127 points for Linus Ullmark. He had 22 first-place votes. Sorokin with 70 points with 3 first-place votes, followed by Hellebuck, UC Saros, and Jake Ozinger. And then we move on to, and I think I know what this is. Yes, the Hart Trophy.
You have some opinions on this one.
Yes, this definitely got a lot of attention. In fact, the first, right after the awards, it was on Sportsnet, and they were even laughing on the desk, and just calling it stupid, basically. But Connor McDavid, the year he had, 100% he deserves it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
There was 96 people voting. Connor McDavid had 195 first place votes. Did he have a second place vote? Nope. Did he have a third place vote? Nope. Did he have a fourth place vote? Nope. Some twit, and you told me that you think it's coming out of the Pittsburgh area. I thought it was coming out of the Boston area. Decided to give David Pastrnak the one and only first place vote. Now, you're entitled to your opinion if you think David Pastrnak did that. Where I'm very in dismay about, and I think it's an absolute ludicrous vote for whoever did that one. How do you put Connor McDavid 5th overall in the voting on that one?
I don't know. I want to see what his I mean, obviously his first place vote was Pastrnak, but I want to see what his the other three were in between. I want to see who his second, third, and fourth place votes were.
Okay, so I'll give you all the breakdown for the Hart Trophy right here. Okay, so Connor McDavid wins it with 1,951 points. Like I said, 195 first place votes. No second, no third, no fourth, 1 fifth place vote. David Pastrnak, he had 1 first place vote, 109 second place votes, 42 third place votes, 19 fourth, and 13 fifth. Tkachuk had no first place votes, 54 second, 53 third, 27, and 17. Robinson had 0, 6, 31, 40, and 39. And then Nathan MacKinnon in 5th place with 275 points with 0, 9, 14, 39, and 25. But like I say, the fact that someone put Connor McDavid fifth, I totally get if you might think a player brought more to the team, because there's different ways of looking at how valuable the guy is to your team. And that's basically what the trophy is. It's based on how valuable is he to your team. And Pasternak, hands down, extremely valuable. Considering the season that the Boston Bruins had, I could see him getting a vote. I could. But to see McDavid getting that fifth place vote is like, that's where I'm just like, no, nope, I don't buy that.
Yeah.
So anyway, were there any surprises there, Sammy, for what you thought and what you saw in this year's awards?
Nope, not at all. I mean, other than, I guess, that fifth place vote, but other than that, no.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. That's my biased part of me that will always come to the surface during NHL Aftermath. I tried to keep the Oilers. I even try not to wear the jerseys and that. And I try to save that for lubed. But this is where I just I have to just show my frustration on that one. Okay, Sammy. Well, who is where now? Big day today, being Canada Day. Happy Canada Day. If I didn't mention at the beginning of the episode, I think I did. At last count, there was 115 signings. I was trying to get the number of contract money value. I couldn't figure that out without having to actually manually calculate it myself. But that's a huge day. 115 signings at last count, which was about 2 hours ago. I'm sure a few more have trickled in since then.
And we're going to go over all 115, right?
What's that?
And we're going to go over all 115, right?
No. We are not. I got the wrong graph up here. 1 second, Sammy. But we are going to go over, and we'll jump back. I actually jumped out of queue here. We were supposed to talk about the draft pick next, but we'll do that first, and then we'll go back to the draft after. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, this is what we're starting off with, eh?
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to start off with Oliver Ekman-Larsson, your favorite guy, going to the Panthers here for, what's the number again, my eyesight? 2 years.
$2.25 million per year on a 1-year contract.
Is it a 1 year? It's 1 year. Okay.
Yep.
I'll get you to, so I hope you're queued up there on that site there, because again, my eyesight, I can't read it off there. I'm going to do hard paper copies for everything going forward here.
Yeah, I got the free agent tracker up on my.
So why would Florida do this?
Well, they let Radko Gudas walk, and so they needed somebody to step into their defensive parent, into their defense. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, I think, on a cheap contract, like he's making $2.25, I think is fine. If he's a bottom pairing guy, I think he's fine. The problem was, again, in Vancouver, is he had like an $8 million a year contract from now until eternity. And he was trusted with, at times, top pairing minutes, second pairing minutes, top power play time. He's not built for that anymore. So I think in Florida, he's probably a bottom pairing guy. He is going to maybe be a little bit of a penalty killer. Maybe he'll be like second power play guy, second power play unit guy. But other than that, like, I think it's a fine move by Florida. It's a cheap contract for Ekman-Larsson. I have nothing against Oliver. I have nothing against him.
You did last week.
No, I didn't have a problem with him. I had a problem with the contract.
Oh, okay.
And I had a problem with Jim Benning. I don't have a problem with Oliver himself.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with him. The contract and the trade for him was moronic, but I didn't have a problem with him. I think it's a good pickup for Florida. I think it'd be a good depth defenseman.
I actually disagree with you, Sammy. If they're giving up Gudas for him, I think they lost a little bit here. If essentially that's who if that's what he's going to be doing is replacing Gudas, they definitely lost that edge. because I don't know if the Panthers would have went as deep as they did if they didn't have Gudas in that lineup. He did some hard hitting. Like, I think Tkachuk was the major factor, but I think Gudas was definitely an element that helped them propel.
Well, any team that goes on a run in the playoffs, everybody plays a role, whether no matter how minor the role might be or how major it might be compared to like Tkachuk to I guess Gudas. Gudas maybe played a more physical role, but I don't know if he wasn't on the team, I still think Florida makes that run.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, his offensive presence wasn't the factor. I mean, it's just his physical role. Anyway, let's move on to the next one, Sammy. The LA Kings. Jonas Korpisalo from the LA Kings is now an Ottawa Senator. Bring up the term and the length.
5-year contract. 5 years, $20 million contract, $4 million a year. I saw this as I was driving back from Calgary down home today. I saw this notification and I was ecstatic for Ottawa. I think this is a fantastic pickup for the Senators. Korpisalo played very well in Columbus. He had great numbers in Columbus on a terrible team. He had good numbers in LA on a good team, so surprise, surprise. I think Ottawa's had a bit of a hard time with goaltending the past couple of years. No knock against Cam Talbot or anything, but I think this is an absolute win for the Senators. Absolute win. This should provide some stability for them in net on their back end there. I think this is huge for them. I think this is fantastic.
And this here is also really revealing to the state of the NHL and how the salary cap has gone up so minimal in the last 5 years, as I think this is the longest term contract that was signed today and one of few. I don't know if there was any more that were 7 years or 8 years. I don't believe there was, but I could be wrong on that.
There were a few.
Oh, was there a few? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I stand corrected. But there wasn't that many. A lot of them are bridge deals in this free agency period.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, again, a lot of those bridge deals come down to people who will be able to make probably more money in like a year when the
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we go on to Ryan Reaves signing in Toronto. This is, I believe, a 1-year deal for $1 million, if I'm corrected.
I believe it's 1 year at 1.3.
1.3. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, 3 years. Sorry, it's 3 years at 1.35.
Oh, okay. This I like. This is something that Toronto needs to address that they have not addressed in the last 10 years. Well, they kind of addressed it with Wayne Simmons, and they kind of addressed it with who's the guy from Los Angeles? But they had a Clifford. Yeah, Clifford.
Yeah,
they had a little bit of toughness. Now they got, without a doubt, probably the toughest guy in the league on their team. This is something they need because they're a great regular season team, crappy playoff team. And the reason why they're crappy is they don't have the size and they don't have that player that can install fear into the other team. Now they do.
Yeah.
Now they do. I like this. I totally think Ryan Reaves is going to look good in the Toronto Maple Leafs jersey. So let's move on to the Carolina Hurricanes. This is going to be a team. This is going to be a team next year. Picking up Dmitry Orlov. What's the term?
Hurricanes, what's the term?
Term and length of contract.
2 years, $7.75 million per year. I think the Hurricanes already are a very good team, but they made a couple other moves today that I think are just going to make them even more of a wagon.
Yeah.
Going forward, I don't know. I love this signing. Again, I'm a Hurricanes fan as well. I love the Hurricanes. And so I was hoping that Orlov was going to come to Vancouver. That was my big hope, was that somehow they were going to sign him. Of course they didn't, but when I saw that he went to Carolina, I was like, yes, one of my other favorite teams. That is awesome. I think it's a fantastic signing for the Hurricanes.
Oh, I'm already calling them the Stanley Cup champions for next year.
We'll see.
If it's not my Oilers, it's going to be those guys. Oh, you know what? It'll probably be a Carolina-Edmonton final again. Oh, my God. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, rematch 2006.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's move on. As Blake Wheeler goes to the New York Rangers on a league minimum contract. However, he's still on buyout money from Winnipeg.
Yeah, this is what I was surprised by.
Rangers did really well here.
Yeah, I mean, Blake Wheeler for $800,000 for a year. That's nothing.
Yeah.
You know, that's a fantastic sign-in by them.
And he's a former captain, so he brings a bit of that leadership quality. Sure, things have, he just, because I never knew this, but Colby Armstrong said this on Sportsnet. He's part of that original Winnipeg Jets team that came from the Atlanta Thrashers.
Yeah, he's the last one.
So he was probably just sick of the losing, that's probably because I know I was having a lot of discussions with a lot of my friends about such and such players being cancers in the dressing room, and I don't think Blake Wheeler was one of them. I just think he was just a player that was just withered and just done with losing.
Well, he was just in that organization.
Yeah,
he was in that organization for 13 years. He played on Atlanta for a year before they came over, I believe, and then now he was in Winnipeg for 12 years, captain for a long time there as well. Replaced Andrew Ladd as the captain.
Yeah.
Winnipeg has had some good teams over the last 5 years. They've had some really good teams. They just haven't been able to do anything with those good teams.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I think, like I said, they hit their pinnacle back, I don't know, so 5 years ago when I believe they played Nashville. Nashville ended up winning that series. But that was when Bufflin was on the team. That's when Hellebuck was at his top of his game. They were a good team, and then they just kind of slowly went downhill. And then it got to the point that Paul Maurice decided, you know what, I can't do this anymore. He bails on them. And then we saw what happened last year with their current coach. What's his name? Rick Bowness. How he called out the team publicly, and then obviously it was very perturbing to Wheeler as Wheeler went to the media and said, he wishes he would have kept that behind closed doors, and you could just see the writing was on the wall that Wheeler would not be returning for this season. It was definitely there, and you could see them either buying him out or trading him. It really would have been, if they would have traded them, they would have gotten nothing, a 5th round pick or something, because all the other teams know that they were desperate to move him.
Yeah.
So moving on, your Vancouver Canucks there, Sammy. I'm going to let you take the lead on this all the way.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me this morning, as I'm watching all these other signings come in and all these contracts come in and seeing guys come off the board that I wanted Vancouver to sign, and I'm like, oh man, Vancouver's been silent all day. I'm not too happy about this. And then naturally, while I'm in the car on my drive home for a couple hours, was when Vancouver finally decided to do something. And anytime I could see on my phone a notification come up from the score, I was like, oh, please be something from Vancouver. And it mostly wasn't. And then finally, this was like the third one they did. They signed Teddy Blueger and Ian Cole before this, but when I saw this notification from Susie, I genuinely cheered in my car. Yes, great. That's a good middle pairing defenseman. He is, even last year when Seattle was terrible their first season, he was still a positive plus minus player. He doesn't put up a ton of points. He's definitely a defensive defenseman, but he put up a decent amount of points, and he had a positive plus minus on a bad team. I was very impressed that that we got him. We got him for 3 years. I love the contract. It's not too expensive. It's a 3-year contract, $3.25 million per year. I think that's fine. I'm excited to see him on our back end. I'm excited to see Vancouver's back end in general. I think it's actually a competent blue line for the first time, and I don't want to talk about it, but I think I'm like excited to see what they can do, what Susie can bring to the team.
Yeah. And in all honesty, the Oilers were like last year when we were looking for our D-men, which ended up being Ekholm when it was all done and settled, and we shipped off Tyson Barrie to Nashville. But there was a lot of talk here in the Edmonton circle about how Carson Soucy could be an Oiler. Obviously, they were talking Carlson as well, and there's a lot of stuff. But the ones that were really making the most sense was Carson Soucy or Ekholm. And we lined it up at home, and I have no problem with that. So I think we did good last year. But regardless, you guys got a pretty good ace in the pocket there with Carson Soucy.
I'm excited for him.
Hey?
I'm excited for him. And like I said, I'm excited to see how our blue line performs this upcoming season.
Yeah. And I think Vancouver, you're going to see improvement. Are they going to be a playoff team to remain?
We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. I think if they do a couple more, there might be a couple more moves to make here to solidify maybe their bottom 6 in terms of their forward group. But I think they can be competitive and maybe squeak into a playoff spot. Who knows?
All right. Is there any more? Oh, yes, there is. Ryan O'Reilly. Another first-round pick that went by the wayside for Toronto, as he now is a Nashville Predator. Give me the term and years there, Sammy.
Yes, I'm just trying to find it on this tracker here. Where is it?
It'd probably be one of the early ones. This was one of the ones that happened very first thing in the morning.
Let's see here. Oh, it's not even.
Actually, maybe I can see it here. Okay, so it looks like
it's not even showing up on the list.
4 years, $16 million, I think. Is that what it is?
I believe it, just off the top of my head, I believe it was 4 years, and I believe it was like $4.3 million a year, I want to say.
Yeah. I wish I could stretch this out. I know in previous episodes I was able to stretch out my screen, but for whatever reason it's screwing up the screen right now, so I can't really do that. Anyway, this is another first-round pick. That's why I like what Holland did last year. Everyone was telling him, give a first-round pick, get Carlson as your rental, or it wasn't a rental because he still had term, but they were asking for like rental players for a first-round pick, and Holland's not a guy that likes to do that for the Oilers. He wanted term. He did the right thing. He gave up a first-round pick this year, but we got Ekholm for 3-4 years at a reasonable contract rate, which is good. Toronto seems to do this history of rinsing and repeating with giving up first-round picks for rentals. And will it change now under Tree Living? I think it will, actually. Is Dubas going to do this to Pittsburgh? Dubas is eventually going to hire a GM anyway, so it's going to be interesting to see. But again, there you see O'Reilly. The other year it was who was it? Went to the Boston Bruins and then got traded. Nick Foligno was another first round that they gave up first round pick. You see it every year with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I don't understand why they would don't sacrifice that much. First round picks, you want to get something back with term. I agree with Holland's concept like that. I know Edmonton Oiler fans have a different view of what Holland has done so far, but considering that in his time, and I know I'm yambling on about the Oilers, even though this is a Nashville thing, but in his time, 5 years, the cap's only gone up $2 million in that 5 years. It's a tough situation for him to work. I think he did a fabulous job. Whereas you see these other teams giving up first round for rentals every year. Florida was another bad team at that too, right? He gave up for Giroux there 1 year for that last year, and where did that happen? Nothing, right? So
yep.
I mean, I get the whole win now mentality and go all in and shove all the chips in the middle, but make sure you have the cards in the hand before you do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Make
no, for sure.
sure you have the cards in hand before you do it. And I think they probably did with Austin Matthews and that, but we'll see. So, yeah, that would make another Nashville. Like I say, they're on the rebuild with Barry Trotz now under the management there. And we move on to Connor Brown signing with the Edmonton Oilers. This is an interesting deal. So he signed for $7.75 million with a 3.25 bonus structure that would be paid out next year. So basically, Holland is brushing off his payments to the 24-25 NHL year. And then he's going to worry about the cap at that point in time, where it's expected to go up 5% now, they're projecting. So I like this deal. It reunites him with Connor McDavid. However, it was a long time ago since they played in Erie together. And he's also going off of a major knee injury that happened last year with Washington. He is now 11 months into recovery. I do like this if you're replacing Yamamoto for this, because I think with Yamamoto, with those head injuries and back injuries, he was a very effective player until then. And then whatever happened with those head injuries and back injuries, he's lost a step. He was, however, the king killer in that series as he scored the series clinching goal, but it's far and few in between. I like this. I like the Oilers getting Connor Brown. That's the big one that the Oilers did. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good depth guy for Edmonton. Like you said, with like either motor replacement or Klim Kostin replacement, whatever it is, like he's a good player that comes in and provides a little bit of grit, maybe score a goal or two here and there. But yeah, he's a good guy that comes in. It's a good little pickup for Edmonton.
Yeah, I have no problem with it. I just hope he's going to be healthy. Now, I think the bonus structure works on the amount of games he plays. So if he isn't healthy, he may only be stuck with that. I think it's a games played bonus. I don't know the exact details of it, but yeah, I think he'll be a good fit for Connor McDavid, and like I say, he is a top 6 guy. He could be very well on Leon Draisaitl's line with Brian Nugent-Hopkins. And we go to the Detroit Red Wings, and this was the trade that the Oilers made a couple days ago, acquiring Kailer Yamamoto and Klim Kostin. Clearly, Yzerman was after Klim Kostin, and understandably, as he was a presence last year with the Edmonton Oilers. I am going to miss this dude. I loved him as an Oiler. Sucks that he's gone to Detroit. Your thoughts?
Yeah, just good pickup by Detroit. Good that they extended him. I think he'll be a good guy for them to have around. I like what Detroit's done today or done recently. I think they're going to be pushing for a playoff spot even more than they were this year. Maybe even surprise and try and catch a wild card. I think they're going to be a competitive team next year, and as they continue to build and as Yzerman continues to build this team up, I think they'll be back in the playoffs before we know it.
Yeah. I think that might be the last one. Let me see. Oh, no. Florida Panthers.
Yeah. That's back to the beginning. That's back to the beginning.
Back to the beginning. So we are done with that. Sammy, let's quickly go over where we were supposed to do a little bit earlier, but I kind of bumped ahead and we went kind of out of order. Let's talk about a quick recap of this year's NHL draft. Let me just cue up the graphics here. Okay. There we go. Okay, so obviously Connor Bedard goes number 1 overall. The second pick overall was a shocker. I have to admit, I was actually shocked that Adam Fantilli did not go second overall.
Yeah, me too.
And then he obviously went third. And then, this first round was a little bit. Do you have the first round pick there queued up at all? Because again, my eyesight is playing.
I don't. I can read quickly if you want me to.
Let me just see if I can see here. Okay, so you got Connor Bedard. Can I stretch? Won't allow me to stretch it out. It's because it's the slideshow thing. It won't allow me to stretch out. So Connor Bedard, and then you had. Here, I'm going to just cue it up here.
You got to think Jarmo Kekalainen was laughing now. That's the Blue Jackets GM. To see Fantilli drop into his hands, you got to think that Kekalainen was laughing.
Yeah.
I know I would be.
Okay, here we go. First round analysis. Okay, so I'm just going to pull it up here. Okay, so Connor Bedard, and then the Anaheim Mighty Ducks took Leo Carlsson, which really shocked me. Adam Fantilli goes in second. Will Smith was fourth. And the whole, you're hearing all these guys doing the Will Smith Prince of Bel-Air theme song now. David Reichenbacher, which Carey Price totally butchered the name on stage there.
Well, he didn't even say the name. He said David, and then
yeah, he didn't butcher it. He didn't say it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Poor guy. Poor guy. I feel bad for him. Feel bad for that.
And he actually reached out and tweeted like he apologized for that mishap to David Reichenbacher. Matthias.
What did you call him? Did you say Reichenbacher?
Oh, I might as well botch it as much as everyone else is botching it.
It's Reinbacher. David Reinbacher.
Reinbacher. Boy, this poor guy is having a real too bad time with his names. My apologies on my behalf now. I was surprised Michkov, I believe, is that how you pronounce it?
Michkov?
The Flyer? Michkov, yeah. Yeah, I was surprised he went seventh. I was expecting him to go a lot higher.
He went seventh. Again, Danny Briere was probably laughing as Michkov fell into his lap.
Yeah, well, for sure. Yeah, so it was a very interesting thing, and it's just interesting that I thought for sure the first two picks were definitely locks, and then when Anaheim announced Leo Carlsson, it was a bit of a shock there to me anyway. But overall, it was good. Your Vancouver Canucks drafted 11th overall, and who was that?
Tom Willander.
Tom Willander. He's a defenseman. Yeah, and a big boy too, right? He's a
6'1", 180 pounds.
Oh, is he only 6'1"? Okay, I thought he was a little bit bigger than that.
He's going to be playing with Boston University for the next couple years, I believe, in the NCAA.
Yeah.
So he's going to come over and get some North American time and kind of get used to North American ice a little bit. He did say the Canucks were his favorite team growing up, which was cool. So now he gets to come play for us eventually.
Sorry, I just want to quickly say one thing that the analysts were saying is a lot of these picks that seem a little bit odd that they were taken so high. A lot of these teams are actually building for like thinking 3 years down the road instead of this year. So that's why there was a lot of strangeness in this draft with teams going for players that were probably going to be available later, but they decided to nab them earlier. That was their reasoning behind it, whether that is the case or not. I always am a strong believer that you take the best player that's available to you, 100%. You can always trade them if they're not ready, whatever, but you always take that one. Even if you're loaded with centers, you take that next best center that's coming up, if that happens to be, because that's your best route, and then you can always trade for a good defenseman or whatever that you see fit. But
I think there's pros and cons. I think there's pros and cons to drafting by need and pros and cons to drafting best player available. I think if you have a surplus of good young centers, you have a good surplus of wingers. I think drafting another one, you just, at that point, I think, to me, you might water down that bit of competition a little bit. Whereas if you really need a defenseman and you don't have any defensive prospects in the pipeline, and you're like, we'll draft a winger. Well, you're not helping your need. You're not building up your defensive prospect, right? Like Vancouver doesn't really have any defensive prospects in the pipeline, really at all. We have a bunch of forward prospects, a bunch of good forward prospects coming up. We have no defensive prospects at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so drafting, when they drafted Willander here, I was like, interesting pick. But then as I read up on him, watched a little more scouting reports, read some scouting reports, I was like, no, this is a good pickup for Vancouver.
Mhm. Yeah, but my arguing point to that is these guys want to get higher paid, and then all of a sudden they price them out of your team, and then you have at least that refreshness of that entry level contracts with these new guys that are the center. I see what you mean. Like you gotta address your needs of your team for sure, but I don't know. It's a tough one. It'd be a tough job to be a GM to have to actually say yes, let's do this and let's do that and all sorts. Anyway, Sam, I think we're close to wrapping this up for this week. This was an hour. Right now we're talking about an hour and 1 minute right now as is.
Yep.
So yeah, it had definitely a lot of discussing points here. Let me just get that off and then we'll head on into this scene here, Sammy. Why don't you okay, so first of all, guys, I am running a episode of Lubed tomorrow night. Those of you who watched Lubed, I'm going to get into a little bit more detail on what the Oilers did in the last week here, because there was actually a lot. It's the only episode I'll do throughout the summer months until October. But Sammy, send us off on a good note. I think this episode went fairly decent without my eyesight buggering off, and I'm going to have to be a little bit more paper prepared, I think, next week. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, hey, thanks, guys, for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Definitely a longer episode this week, but a lot of things happened in the NHL. It's been a very busy week this week. Lots to talk about. So if you like what you saw, like what you heard, click like, click subscribe, tell your friends about us. We're just two buddies who enjoy talking about hockey, trying to grow ourselves and just looking to have some fun. So yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, if you like what you see here, as Sammy said, subscribe to either to Lubed or to NHL Aftermath. If you're more of an Oiler fan, you can subscribe to Lubed. Maybe one day we'll hook Sammy up with his own channel once he gets a little bit more familiar with doing this, and I teach him the ropes a little bit more. But other than that, I think we're out, Sammy. We will see you next week. We're going to try throughout the summer months to stay at a consistent 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for you guys. Obviously, life happens, so there may be episodes where Sammy can't make it, or I can't make it. But if I can't make it, there's pretty much no episode that week. But other than that, guys, that's all I got, Sammy. It was a very, very busy week, and we probably bored a bunch of people with all our stats and information. But those guys that are the hardcore fans would probably appreciate it. We will see you next week with another edition of NHL Aftermath. You guys have a great week.